What's up everyone? Today I'm going to be covering my recent tackle warehouse order where I have some alternative baits to my normal summertime techniques. Summertime is one of those seasons that can make bass fishing pretty difficult. This is why I've been doing research onto what other people have been throwing, that way I can really hone in on to the bass on these hot summer days. Now let's get into this box. Alright, so starting off with the top of the water column, I got this Booyah popping pad crasher in the Aqua Frog color. The main reason why I went with this frog compared to the other ones is because of the popping mouth, or the cut mouth. It's quite different than the ones I normally throw. I usually throw a skirted version of one that's round like this. You know, they're both hollow body, but this one has a little bit more popping action than this one does, but I don't find it has as much action as this one that has a bigger cup mouth. So it's definitely, I feel, an in-between of the regular one that has the smallest amount of splash to the biggest frog that I have that has a splash. So it's a nice little in-between. I do prefer the frogs that have the white belly. This one has kind of a white pearlescent belly, which is great. But I either do stick to a white belly or a black belly. This is definitely one of my favorite ways to catch them in the morning because it is just that classic excitement of them hitting the top of the water. Alright, moving on. I know another method of topwater fishing is the buzzbait, but I was wanting to have something that has a little bit of a slimmer presentation that didn't really take up a lot of space, but still had the the buzzing action, but just to let me change the profile to the main bait. So I found this V&M Buzz Shad that has a buzzbait blade and some extra little beads here. You can see back here that it has a hook that you can attach any kind of paddle tail or any other trailer or main body, if you will, to this bait. So now let's go ahead and take a look. I did get the inspiration to buy these skirtless buzz baits off of Tactical Basin. Matt really showed me that a skirtless buzzbait could really be a different presentation to the bass in the water, and could really be the difference between the people who have thrown a buzzbait before you and what you're throwing now. So let's check this out. I do like that there's not a lot of play between the blade and the rest of this stem, so that's good. So it'll guarantee to make some good noises. I do like the addition of 2 metal beads and 2 what seems like plastic beads, so that's going to make a lot of collision noise. I also love the fact that this is actually on a pivot point, so when I'm dragging this across the grass, it'll be less likely to get stuck. I've always been a fan of swim bait hooks, so this is something that I also really like. And it's nice and big, so I can attach some bigger paddle tails like this Reaction Strike Fathead Junior in 4 inches. This one has a little bit of beefier profile, even though it is about 1 inch shorter. In the same vein, I also got this Lunker Lure Buzzin' Shad, except this one has a stem that sits offset from the blade, so that way the soft bait sits lower in the water column. As you can see, this one has a bigger blade than the V&M, so it can displace a lot more water. And like I said, it has an offset stem, so that way this sits lower in the water column. One of the things that sold me about this buzzbait too, besides the offset stem, is the bait keeper on this head. It's kind of like a really tough paper clip that's gonna just add a little bit more durability to your soft baits, so you don't have to be switching them out all the time. Additionally, it has some really good screw threads, so you can really make sure that this bait is not going to go anywhere. And like all the other buzz baits, you can add a trailer hook to this too. Now moving on to the middle of the water column, I got these Owner Hook Splashy Swimmers in 3/0. These will make a great addition to my arsenal because I do like to throw a lot of soft plastic swim baits. Alright, I'm checking them out over here. Let's go and open her up. Again, has a really good high quality screw lock. That way it gives you a lot more alternatives to what baits you can throw on here. Has a really nice stout connector to the willow blade. It's a nice hammered finish to it. So it's going to add a lot more flash to any of the swim baits so that you can add onto here. Kind of like this Lake Fork Trophy one. Just going to be pinning it through the nose and the screw lock. Have it come through the top. And bam, look at that. I do like to throw a lot of paddle tails in the summertime, so having this to displace a lot more water and having this to have reflection of the sun means I can grab some more attention. Definitely looks like a good bait. A good addition to my arsenal. And to go with these flashy swimmers, I actually went ahead and got some of these Bastric realistic 2 Basin, these fat minnows. I got these in the 6-inch size to go with the unrocks. Well, definitely the first thing to notice out of these is the box is pretty dang sticky. But this one is in the sardine color. I originally was gonna get just the kind of like the gray minnow style color. But I kind of like these because of the detail on the bait. And it's a really good color. We do have green gizzard shad around here. Not in a lot of places, but I definitely felt like this is a really good color scheme. They also make these in paddle tail. I got these so I can use them to have a more subtle approach to the bass. It looks a little bit more natural, you know. It's got a really good profile, just a really good feel, and so I'm going to be adding these to this kind of setup, just to add more shine, just like that. If not, I've heard some people throw these as a drop shot, which I usually don't use a drop shot bait about this size, but who knows. So moving on to the bottom of the water column, I've got these Yum Baits Genie 7.5-inch worms in a 2 plum and watermelon red color. These are on sale. These are a little different than the ones I normally use because it has a spade tail and it has bigger egg sac shapes and an actual little bit of a bigger head to kind of grab onto the hook better. But they do suggest that you can cut off different lengths depending on what you need. So let's take a look at them. This other side. Looks like a bag of shits. Alright, so right off the bat I can really tell the difference between this and the other kind of worms that I end up using. Got like these flat 4 sides with like some divots here. Some really squared off egg sacs with an even smaller one back here. Has a nice good taper from the head to the tail, and here's that spade tail. See how it's not even symmetrical, so it'll displace more water on one side than the other to give that more action. Got it in 2 colors. I throw plum a lot, but watermelon red's definitely like the go-to color here in Texas. And this will probably be throwing either weightless if I'm going around the grass, be throwing it on the swim bait hook with probably like an 1/8 ounce weight. So it's definitely a good looking bait. The next on the list is the Lake Fork Wacky hook and weight system that I also found on Tackle Warehouse. This one has a 1/8 weight with a large diameter 1/0 hook to throw the Yamamoto Senkos with, or any kind of other stick worm. I like to use Yamamotos a lot. So here we got the hook with a weed guard, and you can see here that it has kind of a ring weight to it, except the catch to this setup is it has 2 slots for you to stick your hook through. That way when you stick your soft bait through it, it grabs onto the hook better and you end up not losing as many soft baits. I'll grab this 1/0 hook. Now you have the hook going through the soft bait and also around this weight. The weed guard is always a plus. You can always snip it off if you don't like it, but I always like to keep it because we do have a lot of grass and weeds around here in Texas. So the last bait for the bottom of the water column are these Savage Gear 3D crayfish. Now the cool thing about these baits is they were actually 3D scanned from an actual crayfish. We're lucky that we do down here in Texas have crawfish around our waters, whether it's in rivers or in some lakes. So it states on the package that there are air bubbles in the claws, which it does feel hollow, and that there's an air bubble or air bubbles in the head, which I can kind of feel those. But you can see the massive amount of detail that this bait has. It has all the segmented portions in the tail and the attachments of the legs to the body. It's a nice detail that they actually added the black of the eyes and, you know, have some really decent antennas to them. I do like the shape of this tail because it does look like when you're fishing it in the water, it looks like it's going to displace a good amount of water between these 2 little channels. I'll be mostly Texas rigging this or attaching this to the deadhead that Clear Fork makes. Link in the description where you can find those. They do have a bigger size. I believe it's the 4-inch or the 5-inch. But I really want to try out the 3-inch one because these are smaller and about the same size as the crawfish that I've seen myself out in the water. And it might attract some smaller fish, but I definitely want to see if these are going to be good fish catchers. Alright, that's it. That's the whole tackle warehouse order. Hopefully these alternatives to the baits already thrown during the summer can lead to more fish and a better time out in the water. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Real Gills adventures.
Help me. Help me.
Genie and Tim's Hobie Kayaks brought to you by Mariner Sails.